Hey everybody, your math lesson today is going to be on video. Obviously that's where you are right now. So I would like you to get out your math workbooks and you need to be on page 285. Yes, you do have to have your workbook in order to learn our math lesson today. So if you need to pause this video and get out your workbook, you can do that and then press play when you're ready to go. I'm just going to continue on. We are on page 285. It says simplify expressions at the top. And I want to read that little section and then talk a little bit about what we're doing today. It does include order of operations, so I know you're going to do great. At the top it says, if an expression does not have a letter or a variable, then you can simplify it to find its value. For example, you can simplify 15 divided by 3 to get 5. So really what we're doing is solving any parts of the equation that we can to get us to the answer faster, really, is what we're doing. How do you simplify, I'm reading again, how do you simplify an expression that has more than one operation? For example, when you simplify 12 minus 3 times 2, do you subtract or multiply first? Ooh, well, think back to our order of operations. And you can also use your cheat sheet that we used yesterday. I've got mine right here. Let me get a little magnet so we can put it up. Make sure, hopefully you can see that. If not, you have your own and it's in your desk, okay? And if someone was not here yesterday and you don't have one, then I need you to check the back white basket. It should be in the middle section, but towards the back. Okay, so we've got order of operations, and we know that first we do anything in parentheses. Next, we do anything with exponents. Then we're looking for multiplication or division, whichever comes first, as we're reading our equation left to right. Then we've got addition or subtraction, whichever comes first, as we're reading our equation left to right. So let's take a look at some examples. Number 1 says, follow the order of operations to simplify 25 minus 5 plus 2 times 3. Well, looking at that right off the bat, I see, in fact, I'm going to write this down. Let me write it quickly so we can talk about it. Right off the bat, I notice, and I'm so sorry for any glare that we've got, but hopefully you can see okay. Off the bat, I see that I've got parentheses. That is the first part that I'm going to do. And when it says to simplify, it just means solve that part. So here I've got 5 plus 2, so I'm going to just simplify it down to its answer, right? Now I bring down, well, actually, let me go back. That is step 1. So on the blank spot on step 1, we need to put this, and we're going to bring down the rest of our equation and the operation. So I've got 25 and a minus sign that I bring down. I bring down my 7 because I solved this part. Hello. And then I bring down the multiplication sign and the 3. All right. Now we can keep going, but this is what it would be on the step 1 blank on number 1. Step 2 says to multiply and divide from left to right. So I'm going to start over here and I'm looking for a multiplication or division symbol. I've got subtraction first, so I'm going to skip that. There's our multiplication sign. So we are going to multiply 7 times 3. Now when it says to simplify, it really just means to solve or get it down as small as it'll go. 7 times 3 is 21. And I bring down the other parts of my equation that I haven't used yet. So I've got 25 minus 21. And that's what I'm putting on the blank of step 2. So make sure you write that. And our step 3 would be to simplify even further. How could we take this down to as low as it'll go? We solve it, right? So 25 minus 21 is, oh, not 24. It's just 4. Just 4. So on the blank for step 3, we put a 4. Perfect. If you need to pause your video also so that you can fill in those blanks, go ahead and do that. I'm going to move on to our next problem. Okay, let's go down and look at number 2. We've got 5 plus 16 divided by 4. Now we're going to use our order of operations to help us solve. I hope you can see my problem okay. Sorry, I know there's a little bit of a glare. Okay, so first, I need to look at my list here. And I'm looking for parentheses first because that's step 1. I don't see any parentheses, so I'm going to skip that. Next is exponents. Do you see any exponents? Nope, me neither. Multiply or divide. Oh, I've got divide right here. So I'm going to do that part first. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So I simplify and I put that answer right underneath, and then I bring down any part of the equation that I haven't solved yet. So now I've got 5 plus 4. That's my next step. So I'm just going to solve. I know that 5 plus 4 is 9. So my answer to number 2 is just 9. Perfect. Pause if you need to keep writing. Let's look at another one. We've got to get a little bit more difficult. In fact, number 10 has some decimals, so I think that will help us out. Let's write it down. We've got 10 times 3 tenths plus 2 tenths. Okay. All right, so looking at my chart, I know, parentheses comes first, and I do see parentheses. I see parentheses right here. So that means I have to do what's inside the parentheses first. I have 3 tenths plus 2 tenths. So I'm going to just write this right here. If I don't know off the top of my head, I can figure it out. 3 plus 2 is 5. Bring down my decimal, 0 plus 0 is 0. So 5 tenths is my answer. I'm going to write that right underneath. I don't need to put my decimal, or excuse me, I don't need to put my parentheses around it anymore. We're set to go. I just need to bring down the rest of my equation that I haven't used yet. And I've got 10 times 5 tenths. 10 times 5 tenths. Well, some of us can do this in our head, right? I could say, well, I know it's 1 times 5, and then I've got a 0, which is going to tell me that I'm moving my decimal over 1. But if we can't do it in our head, that's okay. Let's write it out. So I've got 10 times 0.5. You see that okay? So I'm just going to multiply. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 1 is 5. Now, I have a second number here in the tens place, but it's a 0. All of those would be 0, so I can skip that step. But now I do see a decimal, which means that I'm going to find my decimal. How many numbers are behind my decimal in the equation? 1. Hello. And then I'm going to get this decimal right here. Right? This is my decimal that's invisible right now, but we always know that in any number there's a decimal. It always comes behind the whole number. And we slide it over 1 because there was 1 digit behind the decimal, so we're going to slide that over. So my answer is 5. So 10 times 5 tenths is 5 wholes. Okay? So we're taking each problem and we notice that there are different operations in each of these expressions. We just have to use order of operations to figure out the parts that we're going to solve first, and then we keep going until we can't solve anymore and we've got an answer. So I want to do, let's see if there's any other hard ones that we need to take a look at. Actually, I want to look at number 4 with you. reason why is there is division and multiplication in that one. And we've got to decide which one comes first because I told you that multiplication and division are BFFs, right? They are the same. We just have to see which one comes first in the equation. What I mean by the same is they are on our chart at the same level of importance, right? Okay, so we're on number 4. We've got 20 divided by 4 plus 3 times 3. Okay, all right, so parentheses? No, we don't have any. Exponents? No. Multiply or divide. And remember in the video it said first come, first serve. So it's whichever one comes first in our equation or our expression is the one that we solve first. So let's look. Let's start over here. I do have division right here. Division's the first one that comes, so that's the first one I'm going to do. So it's this section right here, 20 divided by 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5, right? Then I bring down the rest of my expression. So I bring down the plus 3 times 3. Now we kind of start the process over again. We start with our order of operations. No parentheses, we're fine. No exponents, we're fine. Now I'm to the multiply or divide, and I see which one comes first as I move this way in my expression. I've got addition, multiplication. Which one comes first? Multiplication. So we do this part first. So 3 times 3 is 9. And here I've got 5 plus 9. And we can solve quickly and come to 14. Are you rocking it? I'm sure. Okay, so we've solved a few like this, and so I'm sure that you've got this, but I want you to turn your page and I want you to go to page 286. 286. Turn that page over, or look at the other side, and let's take a look and see what happens if we have 2 sets of parentheses. So I want you to skip to page 12, or sorry, number 12. Number 12. Okay, so we've got 1 3/10 plus 2 7/10 divided by 2 2/10 minus 1 7/10. Holy moly. Okay. Well, when we have 2 sets of parentheses, it kind of begs the question, well, what do we do first? Well, here's what we do. We actually will solve both sides, and then we'll perform the operation in the middle. So, this one is 1 3/10 plus 2 7/10. Well, this is kind of like what we did. This was weeks or even months ago, but we found numbers that went together really evenly. 3/10 plus 7/10 makes 1 whole. So this part is 1 whole, and then I've got another whole, that's 2 plus 2 more, so this is 4. So 4 is this equation simplified. Now I'm going to do this side. I've got 2 2/10 minus 1 7/10. Now that one I'm not sure, and I'm not going to do it in my head, so I'm going to solve it like this. 2 2/10 minus 1 7/10. I actually have to write it out, and that's okay. It doesn't take too long. Can I do 2 minus 7? No, sir. So I got 2. Go next door. Borrow 1. So this becomes a 1. And that 1 that I borrowed goes in front to make 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. 1 minus 1 is 0. So I bring down my decimal. So my answer on this one is going to be 5/10. I'm going to erase my work, and I'm just going to put my answer. Now I can bring down my operation sign that's in the middle that I haven't used yet, and it's the division sign, and I've got 4 divided by 5/10. Whew, well, I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'm going to have to do a little division here. I cannot divide by a decimal, So I've got to move this baby over, and I've got to find my decimal here and move it over 1. So it's going to go here. I'm going to move that decimal up here. And what goes in my blank? A 0. 5 goes into, well, 40. 5 goes into 40 8 times. So our answer for this whole expression is 8 wholes. 8. Okay, last one that we're going to do together. And then you are going to work on your worksheet by yourself. Take a look at number 13. Holy moly. There is a lot going on in number 13. But there's no reason for us to be afraid. We may have some sections that have like parentheses within parentheses, and that's okay. It just means we're going to do I'm trying to decide the ones that are the furthest in first. Well, let's take a look. So we've got 10 minus, I hope I can write this. I got a funny parenthesis like that. 8 divided by, and then I've got a bracket, 4 divided by, and then I've got my parentheses. 2 divided by 1, and then all of the things. Can you see that okay? I have 3 different types of parentheses in there. Parentheses are the ones that we're going to use most often, but if we have more than that, then it goes to brackets, right? And then after that, it's this squiggly type of parenthesis. But like I said, remember, we want to solve from the most inside out. And the most inside is what's right in this parentheses right here. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start with this little section. It's right inside my parentheses. So 2 divided by 1 is 2. So now I'm going to bring down the rest of what I had. Right? I've got 4 divided by 2. That was my answer that I brought down. I brought down the 4 divided by. And now I've got the 8 divided by, like that. And the last part that I need to bring down is the 10 minus. Okay? All right, well, remember I'm working from the very middle out, so this is the one that's in the parentheses that I'm going to solve next. So I've got 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I solve that, then I bring down any parts that I haven't solved yet. Brought it all down. This was the part that I solved. Here's my answer. And I brought down the other parts. Okay? Now, of course, I'm going to solve what's in this parentheses right here. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And I bring down what I haven't used yet, which is the 10 and my subtraction sign. 10 minus 4 is 6. So it looked really hard, but it didn't end up being very difficult, right? We just start with the innermost parentheses, okay? Then it would go to brackets, then it's the squiggly parentheses. I don't even know what those are called, to be honest with you, and we'll be set. I don't know that you'll have any of those like that on your homework, but I did want to show you how to solve. It gets a little bit kind of crazy, doesn't it? You'll be fine. You'll be just fine. All right, that is your math lesson for the day. Good luck. Now you'll be working on the Math 7-2 gold paper. Homework side only. Homework side only. And when you finish that, you may work on Prodigy. Prodigy. Math Prodigy. I don't think there's any typing on Prodigy. I know there's not any cool math games on Prodigy.